Koda's Promise, Koda's Gift. By Luka Tomasdottir, Vigil Scribe. The Kodan of Stillwater Speaking are, in many ways, a classic example of an isolated community. So isolated, in fact, that I have not actually been able to successfully visit them in person. Instead, I must rely on the notes I took during a series of fascinating conversations with a Kodan who called the settlement home. That Kodan, Aiding Thunder, relayed to me an interesting fact that I had not noticed until he brought it up to me. Many of the Kodan names in Stillwater Speaking are dissimilar to other Kodan names. Though at first blush they appear similar, there are some tangible differences to consider that harken back to the oldest Kodan conventions. For the Kodan societies we are familiar with, their names are pliable. They change depending on circumstances and mood. They describe singular things. There is no first or last name. There may be 3 words to a name. Maybe more. Maybe fewer. While sitting beside a fire in Safewatch Vale waiting for a storm to pass, Aiding Thunder confided me his fears that the Kodan had forgotten of the time when their names meant more than a passing mood. He lamented that the current naming conventions were popular with only a handful of sanctuaries that would actually become established in the Shiver Peaks, and offered an impression of the Kodan that the races to the south would go on to extrapolate to all of the Kodan society. But Aiding Thunder insisted that his people, including many of the tribes that perished in the far north during Jong's rise, relied on a different naming system entirely. In Stillwater Speaking, a Kodan's first name is usually based on a characteristic, not necessarily one exhibited by the cup at the moment of naming, but one wished by their family or tribe. Humble, stoic, aiding, noble. They refer to this name as Koda's Promise. The second name is one of nature, referred to as Koda's Gift. Mountain, thunder, cloud, cove. The 2 names are combined into one, the promise always preceding the gift. This second name is not, and I should clarify, a surname or family name. Quite the contrary. The Kodan of Stillwater Speaking seem disinterested in maintaining those family ties through name. Their settlement is so small that names are wholly unique, and family names are unnecessary. However, Aiding Thunder initially introduced himself not as simply Aiding Thunder, but instead Aiding Thunder of Stillwater Speaking. And what of their leaders? They do not appear to use the same naming convention once they assume their position as Claw or Voice. Quite the contrary, each position appears to have its own convention. Aiding Thunder spoke of a Claw named Cloudseeker, and a Voice named Ushers in Spring, which seemed to defy the standard rules. When I inquired about this, Aiding Thunder promised to explain when we met again. Sadly, that time would never come to pass.